Now, how do I see everybody? Oh, Zeman. Looks like going into operating theatre.
I have some traffic issues, so it's still on the street.
You have what?
Traffic problems.
Traffic problem?
Yes.
Are you on the metro?
Yeah, but before I'm not.
But now?
Yes.
People are going to think it's really funny. Now you have to do prostrations. No, real ones. Oh, got it. Okay. I have to do like this. Look over here, look over here. Look over here, look over here. Okay. Tashi Delay, welcome. And we're going to start with the praise to Shakyamuni Buddha. Zeman, you have the text on the train? Now she
on the screen.
Now she disappeared. Because tomorrow is Chokoduchen. So this is the first turning of the wheel of Dharma. So I thought it would be auspicious to read this praise to Shakyamuni Buddha. Ooh, that's a bit strange. It's all over to one side. Needs to go across. Has started screen sharing. It's coming, Lillian. Lillian's got new computer. So she's having teething problems. Right? So you'll have to give us a bit of excuse today. Anyway, I read. You can just listen. To the founder, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sagata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the founder, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sagata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely and fully awakened one, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. To the founder, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the one gone beyond, the foe destroyer, the completely perfected, fully awakened being, perfect in knowledge and in good conduct, Sagata, knower of the world, supreme guide of human beings to be tamed, teacher of gods and human beings, to you, the completely fully awakened one, the endowed transcendent destroyer, the glorious conqueror, the subduer from the Shakya clan, I prostrate, make offerings, and go for refuge. When, O supreme amongst humans, you were born on this earth, you paced out 7 strides, then said, I am supreme in this world. To you who were wise then, I prostrate. With pure bodies formed supremely pure, wisdom ocean like a golden mountain, fame that blazes in the 3 worlds, winner of the best, Lord, to you I prostrate. With the supreme signs, face like spotless moon, color like gold, to you I prostrate. Dust free like you, the 3 worlds are not, incomparably wise one, to you I prostrate. The Savior having great compassion, the Founder having all understanding, the field of merit with qualities like a vast ocean, to you, the one gone to thusness, I prostrate. The purity that frees one from attachment, the virtue that frees one from the lower realms, The one path, the sublime pure reality, to the Dharma that pacifies, I prostrate. Those who are liberated and who also show the path to liberation, the holy field qualified with realizations, who are devoted to the moral precepts, to you, the sublime community, intending virtue, I prostrate. Homage to the Supreme Buddha, homage to the Dharma refuge, homage to the great Sangha, to all three, ever devout homage. To all worthy of respect, bowing with bodies as many as all realms, atoms, in all aspects, with supreme faith I pay homage. Do not commit any non-virtuous actions. Perform only perfect virtuous actions. Subdue your mind thoroughly. This is the teaching of the Buddha. A star, a visual aberration, a flame of a lamp, an illusion, a drop of dew, or a bubble, a dream, a flash of lightning, a cloud. See conditioned things as such. Through these merits may sentient beings attain the rank of all-seeing, subdue the foe of faults, and be delivered from samsara's ocean, perturbed by the waves of aging, sickness, and death. And then we go to the usual prayers. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the accumulation of merits of practicing generosity and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the accumulation of merits of practicing generosity and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By the accumulation of merits of practicing generosity and so forth, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. May all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all sentient beings never be separated from the happiness which is without suffering. May all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from both attachment and hatred, holding some close and others distant. Reverently I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind. I present every type of offering, actual and imagined. I declare all my negative actions accumulated since beginningless time, and rejoice in the merit of all holy and ordinary beings. Please remain until the end of cyclic existence, and turn the wheel of Dharma for living beings. I dedicate my own merits and those of others to the great enlightenment. This ground, anointed with perfume, strewn with flowers, adorned with Mount Meru, four continents, the sun and the moon. I imagine this as a Buddha field and offer it. May all living beings enjoy this pure land. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kam Niryatayami. We're going to recite some mantras, some Shakyamuni Buddha mantras. Taya Tao Muni Muni Maha Munaye Soha. 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 Oh, now I see Lillian. Why is Lillian lying down as if she's enjoying herself? Having a cup of coffee? What is she doing? So Lillian, how do I see everybody on the screen, but not me? Turn on center stage. Gallery view. Aha. I'm getting so technological, people. It's amazing. Oh, let's have a look at Sabrina. Sabrina's suffering. and she wants us to know that she's suffering. Did you make a sign? I have COVID and I'm suffering. Like, hold one up. I have COVID. I'm suffering. Help. So this is a perfect teaching for you. Oh, oh, I'm suffering. I've got COVID, or I've got samsara, or I've got relationship problems, or I've got whatever I've got, right? So this is why we're discussing lojong, because this is typical of samsara, isn't it? That you're in samsara, you think, wow, samsara, it's going well. I've got the job I want, or I've got the relationship I want, or whatever it is that you wanted. And then something goes wrong, right? Sooner or later, something goes wrong. Why? So we need to understand the why. Why? Why does it go wrong? Why doesn't it just always go right? When you find out, let me know. Write me an email. I don't know. Well, I do know. Okay, why does it go wrong? One thing you've got to realize is that over the millennia, over a long, long, long time, you have practiced the 6 perfections. This is the good news, okay? Because usually we start with the bad news. I'm starting with the good news. We practice the 6 perfections: generosity, morality, patience, joy, concentration, and wisdom. Sometime or other, you have practiced those things. The result of which is that you have now a precious human rebirth. So you've created the cause to experience the result. Okay? May not feel like it every time, all the time, but you created the cause to experience the result. And the result is pretty incredible, because you've got human rebirth, but not just that, you're interested in the Dharma. So this is the rarity. You know, when we talk about precious human rebirth, the precious is referring to something rare, something unusual. You're the one who wants to change your mind. Instead of wanting to change everybody else's mind, you know, you go around sort of, well, you should change because you, and you should change because you know, this is typical, isn't it, in samsara, that samsaric people want to change the other's mind, but don't change their own mind. And that's why the unhappiness, the dissatisfaction continues. So for us, you know, the Mahayana practitioners, then we realized that if we were trying to make everybody happy, including ourselves, then we have to change everybody's mind. We have to go out and sort of sell them the idea as samsaric people. We have to sell them the idea of what I like, you should like. What I want, you should want. So we all have to be in accord, you know, like railway lines, we need to be parallel all the time. But it's not like that. So, you know, I want to go this way, you want to go that way. Well, I don't like you anymore because you're not going this way with me. I want everything in accordance with the way I think about it, as opposed to being flexible and being compassionate and having wisdom and, you know, all the Dharma qualities. The samsaric mind is the one that's saying, you've got to go the same way as me. But I think sooner or later, we realize that if you have some wisdom, this is not working. me trying to get everybody else to be like me is not working. Even within your family, even if you had a twin brother, twin sister, they can be quite different from you. They want to go that way, you want to go this way. So when we're talking about the situation that we're in now, how did we get into this situation? One is that we practice the 6 perfections over many, many lifetimes. And we came into a time when the Buddha still exists in the sense of the teachings. The Sangha still exist. You know, those who support you in your endeavor to be enlightened, or your endeavor to be a bodhisattva, or a better person, whichever level that you're at. There's the support for it. The teachings are there, and they're still there in their purity. They're not edited so that we take out what you won't like and we put in what you'll like. You know, that would be very easy to do. I remember I had a teacher. There were 2 teachers at the Tibetan library. One was Geshe Dawa and one was Geshe Sonam Rinchen. So Geshe Dawa, he actually became later the abbot of His Holiness's monastery, Namgyal Monastery. And Geshe Sonam Rinchen had been teaching Westerners for years. So Geshe Sonam Rinchen would have 60 people packed into this small classroom, and Geshe Dawa would have 4 or 5 people. Every day it was like that. So the 9 o'clock class, Geshe Dawa, 4 or 5 people. Then I would go to the Tibetan class, Tibetan language class, 10 o'clock, then 11 o'clock. So it was 1 hour classes, and you'd run from this one to this one to this one. So 11 o'clock, Geshe Sonam Rinchen packed. I used to wonder, why? You know, why is Geshe Sonam Rinchen so popular and Geshe Dawa is not? So Geshe Dawa would say, after a few days, I sort of figured it out. He would say, well, I'm about to say something that you won't like, but I'm going to say it because it's in the text and I'm not going to change it. And he would just say it straight out. And, you know, for Western people, sometimes it was some sort of a little bit shocking, whatever he was saying. And Geshe Sonam Rinchen had a way of sort of being able to tell you things, but not like that, not the direct, you know, this is how it is. So if you have somebody editing, you know, you get a text and you edit, you think, oh, Westerners wouldn't like this, oh, better take that out. And Indians wouldn't like that, we'll take that out. And Chinese people wouldn't like that, so we'll take that out. And then what's left is politics, just what you would like, not pure anymore, but just politics. So the pure Dharma is still available. And you need to rejoice in this. Remember, tomorrow is the wheel turning day, the first day that Buddha taught. Buddha sat there for weeks thinking, what should I teach? What should I teach? These people that I'm about to teach did not go through what I went through. Remember, he was a king's son. He experienced opulence, but then he left the palace and then he experienced poverty. So he went from one extreme to the other. And when he went out, he went to many, many different teachers. And those different teachers would teach. He would have the same realizations as them, the same level as them. And they would say, take all my students. And he'd say, no, thank you. This is not what I'm after. I'm after something else. I don't know what it is, but you haven't got it. So they would offer him 10,000 students, 20,000 students. This is a big deal. In those days, it was a big deal. This is all around Bodh Gaya. And, the whole Uttaranchal, Uttar Pradesh sort of area. I think he would wander around and he would get teachings and he would have realizations, but it wasn't enough. He was looking for the Bodhisattva path, but the Bodhisattva path, that combination of wisdom and compassion, didn't exist within the Hindu teachings. So in the end, he sat down under the tree in Bodh Gaya and he said, okay, until death, I will sit here. If death comes first, okay. But otherwise, I need to realize whatever it is I need to realize under this tree. And so he realized bodhicitta, enlightenment. But then he said, well, how am I going to teach this? It's so difficult to conceptualize of a way of giving it to the masses, of giving it out. So he sat there for weeks thinking what to do. And in the end, he decided on the Four Noble Truths. Because we can all understand suffering. As we get older, we get aches and pains, and you can have sleep problems, or you can have stomach problems, or you can have headache problems. And now we've had COVID, and then you think, oh, COVID's nearly over, and then we get another wave of COVID. And I was speaking to a friend the other day, and I was saying in Australia, we're on the third wave of COVID. And he said, they're on the seventh wave. He's in, I think, Liechtenstein. They're on the seventh wave. And we're complaining here, oh, we're on the third wave, poor us. So, this is going on. And you think each time, oh, it's nearly over, and then something else. And now they're talking about monkeypox. And so we're going to break out in big boils all over. But don't worry, it's not so serious. After 2 or 3 weeks, you'll get over it. So, that's a suffering. So sickness is a suffering. Aging is a suffering. Birth is a suffering. And death is a suffering. So when Buddha taught, he said, birth, aging, sickness, and death are all sufferings. They're all things that we will experience as human beings. And if we don't investigate the nature of them, we just think, well, I'm born, I die, I get sick, and that's just the way it is. Like I said, we can say, oh, like Sabrina, oh, I'm just joking, Sabrina, but, oh, poor me, I've got COVID, I'm feeling terrible. It could be like that, or it could be an opportunity to transform your mind. But why I'm giving this example is when you're feeling down and you're feeling sick and you're feeling terrible, it's so difficult to transform that into something positive, isn't it? I know when I first went to India and Nepal, and I got sick, my stomach got sick. And so in Nepal, I ate ice cream. This is 1986. I ate ice cream. I never eat ice cream anywhere. But we ended up, I was on the plane with all these people. It was like a party on the airplane going into Nepal. And they said to me, come for dinner. So we all went for dinner and we ate in this very, very nice looking restaurant, but we didn't see the kitchen. And afterwards, they were saying, there's ice cream. Oh, well, why not? And then that night I was really sick. I was sick for a year. In the end, I looked like something out of, I think, out of Africa. That somebody who hadn't eaten for 6 months or a year. I was like this. I was so thin, so emaciated. And we went into Tibet, and I was still the same. I was really sick going into Tibet, and there was no water. We couldn't get a bottle of water. nothing to drink. So very dehydrated too. So you can have sickness, and if you don't know how to transform that into the cause of enlightenment, the cause of happiness, then it becomes the cause of complaining, the cause of more problems. Aging, the aches and pains that you get, the difficulties that you get with aging, same thing. You can, and then creating more cause for more problems, more suffering. So he taught this in such a way that people understood, ordinary people understood, I'm suffering and I need to be able to do something with that suffering so that I don't create more suffering. And then he taught about dissatisfaction, meeting somebody that you don't want to meet, losing somebody that you want to have close to you. These are common things. You have a friend, you want to keep them close, but they go away. They have to go away for some reason. Then somebody that you really don't like, I used to give this example in Dharma centers, that when you're on a course, you think, oh, I really don't want to sit next to that person. And they come and sit right next to you. And you think, why me? Or on the airplane, you've got 8 hours on an airplane and they sit right next to you and they've got their elbow in you. And they say, I must tell you. And you think, oh no, all I wanted to do was sleep. But you can't because they want to tell you everything, right? So these sort of dissatisfactions, again, something to investigate, something to sit with so that you know the nature of it. What causes it? Is it just bad luck, good luck? Right? So this is where we need to start investigating. We need to be more like scientists who investigate the truth of something, as opposed to just thinking, this is my bad luck, I'm sitting next to this person. This is my bad luck that I'm aging. Well, we're all aging. This is my bad luck, I get sick. We all get sick sooner or later. We're all going to die. We all get born. So he started off by teaching these commonalities. There's something that's common to all of us. So when we start to discuss it with other people, we can understand. We can say, oh yeah, yes, I've experienced that. Or I will experience it, or I have experienced it. So he gave, from wandering around from village to village, Buddha gave 84,000 teachings. In the end, it came to 84,000 teachings. And the people who were with him, the monks who were with him, they memorized the teachings. So at the end, when Buddha passed away, he didn't have to pass away, but he passed away showing how you die, that you take advantage of the death process. So you either die just in a normal way, or you take advantage of the death. So lying on one side, blocking the nostril, etc. If you go to Kushinagar in India, Kushalnagar in India, North India, there's a very long lying down Buddha statue. Same in Thailand. They've got this beautiful long statue, and it shows the death posture. If you're a really good meditator, you can sit in meditational posture. But for ordinary people, lying down on one side blocks the negative winds. So he showed that. He showed how to be born, he showed how to die, and he showed how to live. So his whole life, being born into the palace, having parties, having everything you can possibly imagine, he showed, I've had that, but it didn't give me happiness. So that we can relate to that, as middle class people or upper class people or whatever. We're not poverty stricken on the streets, as people who have resources, we can have lots of fun, but in the end, does fun get you to enlightenment? So you want to find a balance between the two, having fun, living life, being Dharma practitioners. You want to find a balance between the two. So that's then within the Lojong text is you don't want to go to the extreme. You don't want to starve yourself so that, you know, your cheeks are sort of collapsing and you're really thin. And then people say, what happened to you? And they say, well, I'm Buddhist now. I hardly eat because I'm Buddhist. And sort of advertising that you're Buddhist, right? So I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday who's Buddhist, and he was saying, in the West, it's very difficult to not drink wine, to not take alcohol, particularly in countries like Europe, where it's very common to drink wine with a meal. So he said, what do you do when you go to a meal and everybody has a glass of wine, and then everybody says, you know, cheers. And you say, oh, well, you know, I'm Buddhist. I don't drink. But everybody else drinks. How do you manage it? So we were talking about these sort of things because within the thought transformation text, we've come to change your attitude, but remain natural. Change your attitude, but remain natural. Remember, these slogans are on the website. Lillian each time makes a little card. So if you want to print them out, you can have them as reminders. So change your attitude, but remain natural. So what does it mean? You know, do you wear your beads, you know, around your neck? Do you wear red or orange, you know, special colors? And so when you go to see your mother, and she doesn't know anything about Buddhism, and you walk in, you say, you've shaved your head, especially for a woman, right? This is quite shocking. If you shave your head, so you shaved your head, you have the beads, and you have the orange or the red color or the yellow color, and your mother goes, what on earth happened to you? And you say, well, now I'm Buddhist. So is it necessary? So within the Lojong teaching, it's saying it's not necessary. Why? Because it's about changing inside, not about changing the outside. It's not about changing countries, residences, relationships. It's not about abandoning old friends, etc., etc. It's about you changing your mind. Not so that you can change everybody else's mind, right? That was our purpose before, is that we were trying to change everybody else's mind. We wanted them to be the same as us. But they're not going to be the same as us because they're on the samsaric path, we're on the Dharma path. So we've got to sort of bridge the gap. You understand? Because if you don't try, they're going that way, you're going that way, and then the gap gets bigger and bigger. And then your family look at you and they think you've gone totally weird because you've got the beads hanging around the neck and you've shaved your head, or you're chanting mantras. Remember last time I told you I went to hospital in Delhi, and you know, I'm reciting mantras because I'm in this room for 3 hours and they think I've gone totally crazy, and they wouldn't do anything because I'm reciting mantras. So, you know, from our point of view, from our perspective, we think it's okay to recite mantras, but they don't know what you're doing. Samsaric people will assume you're talking to yourself, you're muttering to yourself, and you're going crazy. So before you know it, you're in a white jacket and off you go. I could have been in a psychiatric hospital in Delhi. Who knows? That would have been an experience. just from reciting mantra. So be careful what you're showing to people who are in samsara. Ordinary people have ordinary concerns, right? Birth, aging, sickness, death, relationship problems, money problems, etc. So what do they want? Often they want somebody to just listen to them. So you give an ear, you listen to them, but be careful about giving advice. Slogan number 23 in the Lojong teaching says, and they go, whoa, too much information. All I wanted you to do was listen. And now you're coming out with your weird Buddhist stuff, So you have to really listen and really be aware of their lifestyle, their way of thinking, and then is there any advice that you can give that's in accordance with their way of thinking? And if not, don't. Stop. Don't give advice. I was just thinking today about two teachers that I had who passed away. Lama Lundrup, who was the abbot of the monastery, and Geshe Lama Kunchog, who was an amazing yogi who didn't eat for 9 years. He just took the essence of the wind. So he was an amazing meditator. I was thinking about, I knew them for 30 odd years, never gave me advice. Never. Not one word. And then I was thinking about Geshe Lama Kunchog, this great meditator. At the time, I was running the clinic in the monastery, and he was quite sick. He had something wrong with his stomach. So they called me, and I went to see Geshe, and I really liked Geshe. He was sort of like a father, grandfather sort of figure, but he could be very tough also. So they called me, and Zenla, his translator, was there, and she said to me, Geshe-la's sick. And I said, well, we're going to Tibet in a few days. So we checked his blood pressure, and his blood pressure was high, and he had really bad stomach, diarrhea, and all the rest of it. And I said, well, Geshe, if you're sick like this, you can't go to Tibet. And he said, he was lying on the floor of the room. So he was more than you, Sabrina. He was lying on the floor, sort of showing me, I'm really sick. I've got really bad stomach, blood pressure's up. So I'm being the head of the clinic, you're not going to Tibet unless you've got good health, because it's dangerous. And he said, really? He said, you see that basket over there? And I said, yes. He said, bring me that basket. So I brought the basket, and inside were all these tablets, Western medicine, Tibetan medicine, within this basket. So he took the basket, and he's looking, and he's taking a Western pill, a Tibetan pill. And I'm saying, Geshe, what are you doing? And he said, I'm taking medicine. And I said, but you can't do that. You don't know what you're taking. He said, it doesn't matter. And he just took these pills. And I said, look, I think best thing is you go to the clinic down in Kathmandu. I'll pay for it, and we'll get you checked out. And he said, oh, very good idea. I thought, that's strange. He wasn't usually so easy to tell what to do. So he said, very good idea. I should go to the doctor. And I said, okay, I'll organize a Jeep in the morning. You can go down to Kathmandu to Seawick Clinic. It was a very expensive clinic, but it was a Canadian clinic, but very good. So I organized, he went down, and I expected when he got back that they were going to say, no, can't go to Tibet. He's so sick. He came back, and I said, well, what was wrong? He said, everything completely normal. No blood pressure, no stomach problem, They did tests, all sorts of tests, nothing wrong at all. Complete control over the body and the mind, but just playing games, just showing me that you think I'm sick, but I'm not really sick, which is the difference between us. Samsaric person is really sick. Somebody who's enlightened like him, not sick at all, completely in control, but always teaching through different means. So sometimes showing something is better than saying something. You know, we talk about patience, we talk about compassion and kindness and all these things. But if you just talk about it, but you're not living it, then, you know, you're the two paths. You're not living what you're talking about. So it's more powerful for the people around you if you're doing and saying and being the Dharma, as opposed to, I talk about it, but I'm not being it. So the Dharma practitioner, what we're doing is we're gradually bringing the Dharma closer and closer and closer to our hearts. We're putting it into our hearts, right? But it starts out intellectual. It starts out something that you read, you hear teachings, and, you know, gradually you put it into practice. But it's got to be a gradual putting it into practice. You can't suddenly put it into practice. If you too quickly, too suddenly try to put the Dharma into practice, it's like an elastic band that you're stretching and then you let it go. You understand? It's too much because you don't have the merit. You haven't got the accumulation of merit, M-E-R-I-T. You don't have the merit, the accumulation of good karma. So you need the merit to listen to the Dharma. You've got some of that, but do you have enough merit to be able to put it into practice? So that's one thing. And then the other thing is the removal of something. So what are you removing? The negative karma and the delusion that creates all the trouble for us, all the problems for us. It's not them creating problems for us, it's us. We have karma and delusion. So I told you the good news, the 6 perfections over countless lifetimes. That's the good news. But the bad news is the karma and the delusion. Karma is the negative seeds that we've planted. Delusion is the emotion that goes along with the action. So I hate you, and so, you know, I want to hit you. So the emotion is hatred or anger or jealousy, and then that produces an action. I want to hit you. I want to leave you. I want to divorce you. I want to do something. I want to do some action because now I don't like you. So you've got the emotion and then you've got the action. Without delusion, there's no action. Right? Without any emotion, there's no action. So from beginningless time, karma and delusion. As you're removing karma and delusion, then you become more aware of you, which is your intrinsic awareness or your Buddha nature or your clear light nature, whichever way you want to describe it. As you take away that negativity, you reveal your Buddha nature or your Buddha potential. It's not Buddha. Many people think there's a little Buddha inside. And so when you take all this away, there's that little Buddha sitting inside, and then there it is, Buddha's there. But it's the potential of Buddha that's there. You have to train that potential in wisdom and compassion so that you're pointed in the correct direction. So that's why we have all these teachings, because we're saying that's the direction, not that's the direction. That's the positive way, that's the negative way. So when we say we should develop compassion, you say, great, that's what I want, love and compassion. But how? So you read a book, how to be compassionate, and you read and you read and you read. But you've got many imprints that are opposite of compassion in the situation where these negative imprints can arise. They arise, and then you think to yourself, I'm not compassionate at all. It's so difficult to be compassionate. Or you want to be wiser, and so you want many imprints of wisdom, but you don't. You have many imprints of ignorance. And so in difficult situations, the ignorant imprints arise. And then you put yourself down and you think, oh, I'm useless, I'm no good, I can't do this. So actually, we've got to do it in the right way, that we've got to accumulate the merit. And that's what tomorrow's about. Tomorrow's one of those very powerful days where it's like putting, how can I say, $1 on the stock market and you get $100,000 back or $1 million back. It's like that. So we have these special, powerful days where you can accumulate a huge amount of merit in 24 hours. Without changing, without going anywhere, without doing anything. You don't have to rush to Bodh Gaya. You don't have to go anywhere and do anything. You can just think, for today, I'm serving sentient beings. My life is for others. Today, 24 hours, I'm going to serve others. And then see how difficult that is, or how easy it is. If you've got many good imprints, serving others is a joy. But if you've got some difficult imprints, after a while you think, oh, this is so difficult. My mother's driving me crazy, or my sister's driving me crazy, or the boss is driving me crazy. Somebody gets to you, somebody makes it irritating. So you think, how am I going to do this for 24 hours with this irritating boss? Well, this irritating boss is a Buddha who's giving you the opportunity to accumulate merit and to transform that irritating mind into the patient mind. It's an opportunity. So that day is an opportunity no matter what's going on. Don't expect perfection. Because whenever we have these powerful days, often negativities arise. The irritating mind, or the angry mind, or the jealous mind, whatever, this can arise. And this is the opportunity to put the Dharma into practice. I choose to breathe it out. I choose to let it go. So under number 6, we're still on the first page. Last time we talked about the 3 basic principles. This time it's change your attitude, but remain natural. And then don't speak of injured limbs, and don't ponder others' flaws. So this is, how many times do we talk behind somebody's back about their mistakes, about some sort of character flaw? How many times do we do that? So here it's talking about don't talk behind people's backs, because when you do, you're accumulating, again, negative karma, You're making problems for yourself because it's going to come back. In the future, somebody will be talking about you and you won't like it. And you'll think, why is this happening to me? It's not fair. I'm a good person. I'm a nice person. Why are they talking about me? But we've created the cause to experience the result. So if you don't like it, don't do it. And pointing out somebody's flaws and somebody, here it speaks of injured limbs. It's not talking about having a leg missing or an arm missing or something like that. It's talking about if they're impatient, if they're angry, if they're jealous, every one of us has a problem because we're human beings, isn't it? Each one of us is born from karma and delusion. So guaranteed, we have some problem living in samsara. And then if you have people sort of behind your back pointing that out, that can be very hurtful for the person that they're talking about. But also what you need to realize is it's very hurtful for you karmically. You're creating the cause to experience that result, which is to be gossiped about, for people to point out your faults, which makes it difficult to actualize your Buddha nature. So then the question will often come up, but say I really need to tell that person, they're making a really bad mistake and I'm their friend, what should I do? Make sure that you're telling them from compassion, not from anger, jealousy, hatred. So that's what the text is talking about. What's your motivation? What's your reason for speaking? Don't speak behind their back, but if you have something to say it to the person themselves. Choose the opportunity, choose the time, choose the way of saying it. Practice in meditation. Sit on the cushion and you visualize the person you're going to tell, and then you visualize how you're going to tell them. And tell them from a good heart, from the heart, not from the head. Right? The head is cold, but the heart is warm. So you tell them, if you're going to have to tell them from compassion, not from anger, not from jealousy, hatred, etc. What's the purpose of all of this? What's the reason? Is because we need to get closer to our own hearts. Our own heart, our mind, our heart, whichever way you want to call it, is love and compassion. The opposite is anger, hatred, jealousy, the negative emotions, right? So if we have those negative emotions, we're getting further away from our own hearts. And to get closer to our heart, to be able to become friends with ourselves, to be able to have compassion for ourselves and love for ourselves, then we need to get closer and closer to who we really are rather than who we think we are. Who we think we are can be the one that you're projecting to the world. But actually, inside, we might be quite different from what we're projecting. So here, what we're talking about in the text is don't be pointing out others' flaws, because usually what you're seeing is part of yourself. If you're seeing anger, then look at your own anger. If you're seeing jealousy, look at your own jealousy. You understand? Usually we're focusing outwards and saying, that person is, but instead turn it back around and look inside and see if that's your problem. Are you focusing outwards instead of focusing inwards? Remember last time, I don't know if it was last time anyway, sometime I've talked about where we need to start is with ourselves. Self-love, self-compassion, in order to have love and compassion for others. Because in Buddhism, we have the Theravadan path is about self-liberation, right? So you focus on yourself, you look inwards. Then in the Mahayana, you focus outwards and say, okay, I've got these skills, I've got this investigation that's gone on within myself. Now I've got some skills. What can I do for you? How can I help you? How can I serve you? But if you haven't done the first bit, the self-investigation, the self-discovery of your own heart, self-love and self-compassion, then how are you going to have real love and compassion for others? It's fake. Again, it comes to the intellectual as opposed to the heart. Intellectually, I know what love and compassion is, but I'm not giving real love and compassion. I'm giving duplicate, maybe generic or duplicate love and compassion. It's not really coming from the right place. We need to have those karmic imprints, karmic seeds of love and compassion. So why we go through all this mind training, thought transformation, Lojong, why we go through all of this is that we acknowledge that samsara is a really difficult place to be when we're trying to develop love and compassion. It's really hard. Because you can try to be loving and compassionate, and then somebody can slap you back. So then you think, okay, I give up. That's samsara. I go back into my cave, I lock the door, end of story. But we need to keep finding a way, even though they don't react the way you thought they should react. I'm being compassionate to you. Why don't you value it? Why don't you like it? Projecting onto the other the response that they should have towards your Dharma practice. You understand? Because we start to develop a concept of how people should react. I'm being compassionate towards you, so therefore you should, and whatever that fantasy is, you then write the story as to how they should be. And when they're not like that, you're disappointed. And when you're disappointed, you can feel like you want to give up. So be careful of looking at others from an arrogant or a proud point of view, perspective. In Buddhism, we talk about pride as putting you on top of the mountain and then looking down at the village, and the villagers are all enjoying themselves and having a party and really enjoying and happy. And, you're sort of sitting alone on top of the mountain and thinking, oh, I wonder what's going on down there. If only I could be with the people. But when you have pride, you separate yourself from the group. And so it's a suffering. In the text, it says, when you're proud, it's like you're up on the top of the mountain and nothing can grow. Because on top of the mountain, it's so cold and there's snow and there's ice and nothing grows up there. Whereas down in the valley, all the crops grow. So be careful of Dharma pride. Look at me. I've been around for a while. I've read some books. I've been on a 3-day retreat. I'm doing well, you know? So it can get like that. I've got a beautiful altar. So, instead of going out to shop for clothes, you start to shop for Buddhas. And you start to build your beautiful altar. And then when people come around, you say, look. And they go, oh, yeah. Who cares? Then you think, oh, not very nice people. They didn't react the way I thought they would react. Right? So all of this can bring up these negative emotions that then you want to respond with. This is not bodhicitta. This is not the way that we want to respond towards samsara. Because samsara, as we said in the beginning, samsara is suffering. They already have enough suffering. They don't need you adding to their suffering. And that's why we have the thought transformation text, because for sure, in any situation, you will find a slogan that relates to your difficult situation. When you think, this is really difficult, I don't know how to keep going with love and compassion, there's a slogan. Something will help you to get back on track. How do you stay on the bodhisattva path? The slogans are there to help you. Thought transformation is there to help you. If we don't have that, then we have to go with instinct. And we're not sure that our instinct is correct every single time. If it is correct, if our instinct is correct, if we have bodhisattva instinct, then we're okay. We're on the bodhisattva path. If we train the mind and we know through intuition, through instinct, this is the way, we're okay. But actually, from beginningless time, we've done some good, some bad, some indifferent. We've got a whole mixture of imprints on the mind stream, so it's not sure. That's why you need a checking mechanism. I'm thinking of doing this. And there's an alarm bell ringing. Ding, 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 ding. Hang on. Before you do it, before you attack, before you send that SMS, just check. You understand? Because otherwise you just do it. And then, whoosh, and then one comes back. And then, whoop. We're so quick. The problem now is everything's so fast. When I first went to Nepal, you post a letter to the West and you get the reply in 6 weeks. A friend would write to me, oh, I've got this terrible problem, blah, blah, blah. And I'd write back about the problem. And then they'd reply about the problem. And I couldn't remember what the problem was because it was so many weeks going backwards and forwards. We used to have these little aerograms. You used to have to stick the edges down like a piece of paper. But now, somebody insults you. Oh, back you go. And whoosh. And then whoosh, back it comes. And then again, same with emails. So be careful, because these sort of conditions can ripen the negative karma. And then here we go again, back into samsara. I like this example. There's a man or a woman walking down the street, and there's a big hole, and they don't see the hole, and they fall in the hole. They fall down the hole. And then it takes them ages to try and climb out. It's so difficult to climb out. Another day, they're walking down the street, and then they fall in the hole, and it's a little bit easier to climb out because they've got the experience. Another day, they're walking down the street, They see the hole and they walk around the hole. Another day, they walk down a different street. We need to know the hole that we've been digging, which is our karma and delusion, and to walk down a different street, not to all the time have to keep avoiding the karma and the delusion, but just go down a different street, which is the Bodhisattva street. You understand? Make that choice. I'm on Bodhisattva street instead of the hole. I fall down the hole, I have to climb out the hole. But it's interesting. Makes my life interesting. Otherwise, I've got nothing else to do, you know? So, okay, I fall down the hole. I have to climb out the hole. I have to get a ladder. I have to get a rope. And there's a big drama about it. And I have to get other people to help me. And, you know, all of this goes on. It can be part of the drama of life that we think is so interesting, but actually is a result of past karma and delusion and creating more karma and delusion. Okay, so the last one on the bottom of the page is train first with the strongest destructive emotions. So we've talked about this before. Don't start with the weakest destructive emotion. Start with the most difficult, the strongest destructive emotion that you have. If you don't know, start a diary, not a dairy. Don't buy some cows and start a dairy. So many people have written to me over time and said, I bought those cows and nothing's happening. Start a diary. Every 2 hours, stop. 1 minute, what's in your mind? What happened in the last 2 hours? What was the feeling? Right? The texture, the feeling in the last 2 hours. Do that for a week or two, and then look back over that diary and see what is the sort of overall emotion that keeps appearing within your diary. It's quite surprising that sometimes it's not what you thought. You might think it's another emotion, but actually what shows in the diary is something else. So if you're not quite sure, keep a diary for a week or two and then go from there. Then what you're looking for is the destructive emotion and the opposite. And so you start reading, meditating, contemplating on the opposite. So for instance, if it's anger, then the opposite would be love and patience. Love and patience. Okay? It's a balancing act. So you've got strong anger. Now you need to increase your love. I want you to be happy. That's the opposite of anger. Or patience, tolerance. I don't respond to the difficult situation. So whichever antidote is the best for you. And if you're not sure, you can ask me. So you find the destructive emotion, the strongest one, not the weakest one, because the strongest one is the one that's really affecting you. And then when we take that away, when we weaken that, we're weakening many other of the emotions. So it's not just taking away the strongest destructive emotion, we're actually taking away some of the weaker ones as well. So do that. Start with the destructive emotions. And if you're not sure, or if you're new to this, there's the course on the website called Healing Disturbing Emotions. So that really defines the disturbing emotions and it defines the antidotes for the disturbing emotions. So that can be helpful. Okay, any questions? I was going to say at the beginning, I'm going to stop near the end and you can ask questions, but I forgot because I'm old and decrepit, as my teenager would say. Come on, people, ask. Melissa, you're looking very good, isn't she? She
Thank
looks
you
like an
very much.
English rose.
Just a quick question, not overly
Hold
profound.
on.
The first
No.
turning of the wheel was in Sarnath. Is that correct?
Sorry, say again.
Not a very profound question, but the first turning of the wheel was in Sarnath?
Yeah, Sarnath in Deer Park.
Yes, yes. I remember because I expressed extreme anger when they tried to overcharge me for the ticket. And I thought it was extraordinarily ironic that I was in the pits of anger going into Deer Park.
You and me both. I went to Sarnath some years ago. After they started that, they had suddenly the cash register near the gate, and I was about to go through the gate, and they said, "Oh no, go over there." And I think it was 100 rupees. And then local people, I think it was 5 rupees. But for us, the rich Westerners, 100 rupees. So I said to them, how can you do this? And they said, oh, the archaeological department, blah, 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 looking after the place, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So then I was in Sarnath, I think, for 2 weeks, and I wanted to go to the stupa every day. But then I decided I'm not paying 100 rupees every single day to go in the stupa. So then I'd go on the long road all the way around just to not have to pay that 100 rupees, right? And it really got to me because it's our church, those stupas, Bodh Gaya, Sarnath, they're our church. And so I said to them, how would you like to have to pay to go into a Hindu temple or something like that? And they don't understand the point. But then later in Bodh Gaya, then they brought in these sort of channels where you have to walk through with tables, and it started looking like in Bodh Gaya they were going to start charging too. And they started giving out tickets. And so they had something that looked like a cash register, but they'd just give out a ticket. And I think they realized that people were getting so upset about it that they wouldn't be able to do it. But I think if they do it in Bodh Gaya, there's going to be an uproar, because it's the sort of place where emotions run very high. So same thing, that I think they wanted to do it, but then they realized this is going too far. They already make, out of Bodh Gaya, they make millions of dollars, millions, just in offerings. In the temple, they receive millions of dollars. So why do you need to ask for anything else? But yeah, I completely understand what you're saying.
It's the mixture of the anger of samsara with the
yes.
The aspirational.
And it's that self-righteous,
Yes.
sort of, I'm Buddhist and I shouldn't be paying to go in.
Well, sorry, I won't distract from anybody else, but we're actually living in India. So we had the local card, but because obviously we were Anglo-Saxon, we couldn't go in. But I put on such a display of anger. I thought, oh my, it was just the extremes of both things. So thank you for listening to me.
I think it's great. Thank you very much. Anybody else?
Again, Eddie has a question.
Yes.
Thank you. Hi, teacher. I'm so happy that you talk about COVID, because I'm having COVID as well. I mean, it's gone now. But I think today is day 14 or 15, and I've got this funny thing on my wrist.
Which is what
the Hong Kong government gives us. This is
so you can't move out the house?
No, I can't.
Really?
Until tomorrow.
Sabrina.
Yeah.
Imagine if Switzerland did that to you.
I meant to show you guys. And
Wow.
this is something that I used to wanted to have when I was a child. It's like a toy watch, right? And
You've created the karma to experience the result.
Oh, yes. And then and during this period, I'm lucky that my body-wise is not too bad. Everything's, I could cope with. But the mental is totally upside down. It's
That's
like,
what people say.
Really?
Yeah, they say it affects people's minds very much.
Yeah, it is. It's like being in a vipassana, a silent retreat.
Yes.
Actually, I have the luxury compared to other people. I know I'm not meant to compare because I have the outside. I can sit, so I can take off my mask. I'm staying with the family.
Yes.
There are many things, and especially this period, Hong Kong is really, really hot. It's like 38 degrees Celsius a day.
Yes.
So my body container is like a boiling water container. Seriously, you can imagine, right? And my house is like an oven, and I don't want to turn on the aircon. Lots of emotions, like how come people not treasure the earth? Like now we have the climate crisis. Lots of anger is coming out, and like you said, the expectations. But just is this. I know these all are external. There's internal conflict, and I found that I don't have enough compassion and nourishing myself. Childhood, life experience, a lot of things, maybe past lives as well. And at the beginning, you mentioned about we created the cause for us to experience the cause.
We create the cause to experience the result.
Yes. Could you tell me more about that?
Well, from beginningless time, because there's no beginning to mind, there's no end to mind, then Buddha taught that what we have is experience of conditions. So when we experience conditions, we have reaction to conditions. So we call that karma, cause and effect. So you have conditions, something external, and then internally, I have an emotion, I have an action, and you have to have the parts of that action complete. So we've talked about this before. And then whatever that action is, we have 365 karmic imprints, karmic seeds per second that you plant on your mind stream. And when you keep repeating something similar, it becomes karmic habituation. It becomes more powerful. So every single day, if you keep, what can I say? Irritability. So many people drive a car, or, they go somewhere, they do something, and they have irritability every day. So they think, well, irritability is not so bad because I'm not angry. It's not as bad as anger, full-blown anger. I'm just a little bit irritable. But I used to say to them, yes, but if you calculate, say, 10 seconds of irritability, 3,650 imprints per day of irritability, right? Because 365 per second multiplied by 10 for 10 seconds, and 10 seconds is short for irritability. It's probably much longer. So 3,650 imprints per day on the mind stream, similar, because of the irritability. The action may be different from it, but the irritability is similar. So you have this karmic habituation day after day after day, or maybe a day off, but on and on and on. When this accumulates into a karmic habituation, in the future, it's going to keep growing, because when you plant seeds, seeds grow. If you plant one tree, one seed of a tree, then that seed will grow into a tree, which then produces fruit or seeds, which drop and then produce more trees, more fruit. So karmic seeds also keep growing. The potential of irritability grows. Then you meet with the conditions. So you can get COVID, you can have children, you can have a teenager, whatever it is. So those conditions then will ripen the seed or seeds of negativity, say anger, hatred, whatever it is. So those seeds, in accordance with the conditions, it comes together and it makes a situation. It makes a reaction to the situation. So if you've trained yourself in love and compassion, that becomes your karmic habituation. So difficult situation, your karmic habituation is love and compassion. But if over lifetimes it's anger, irritability, hatred, whatever, then when you come into contact with difficult situations, then that anger or that irritability or that hatred will ripen, and then that's the experience you will have. So that's why in the text it's saying, if you don't like the experience of samsara, you need to start controlling your mind so that you experience what you want to experience, what's enjoyable, what's enlightenment making, if you like, as opposed to what's suffering making. Because we all have a choice. If we're Dharma practitioners, we have a choice. If we're not Dharma practitioners, I think virtually no choice, because we don't know anything different. But as a Dharma practitioner, you do know something different. You're being told, through all of this, the Lamrim, through the Lojong, through all of the teachings, it's showing you that there is another way to behave. The difficulty is going to be how to persuade yourself into the new way of thinking. And from the new way of thinking into the new way of feeling.
I think this is
that's the hard part.
Yeah, true. I think that's the most difficult part. I felt, during the time is like you feel losing the aim for being alive. Just want the body to lapse, return to Mother Earth. I think the difficult part is, as a practitioner, you shouldn't have that thought. So the internal
naughty you.
The tension is really big. That's the most difficult part, that you want to give up, actually, but you shouldn't give up.
I think it's very hard having this sickness somehow, whatever it does to the body and the mind. COVID has a very profound effect on the mind. The body maybe afterwards can be okay, but it's affected the mind. And I think what it's doing is it's triggering previous negative karma from a long time ago that's ripening. And in that way, actually, you could rejoice and you think, well, this is good because I'm able to let it go. Because I'm a Dharma practitioner, I'm able to let it go. And then in the future, I won't experience it. It's just an experience in the mind. It's not producing an action. But imagine if you weren't a Dharma practitioner and you have these negative minds arising. Terrible. I mean, really, you wouldn't know what to do with it. Because it can affect you in such a negative way. If you're not a Dharma practitioner, you could take to alcohol, drugs, whatever, because you're trying to get out of this negativity. So I think very fortunate that you've got the Dharma, you're able to see what's going on in the mind, and then able to, at least to manage it. Don't be hard. don't be hard on yourself. You know, have love and compassion for yourself, and sooner or later, even this will finish. Remember impermanence, even this will finish. You know, you won't have this thing on your arm for the rest of your life.
Till tomorrow. Thank you, teacher.
I wish you all the best. Fionn? Yes. Somebody spoke.
Hello, Venerable. Can I ask you a quick question?
It's May So. No?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. It's May here. I want to ask, now we know that we have, I would say all of us should have create bad karma to a certain extent.
We've created some bad karma. Yeah.
Yes, even though we know it, we try not to create the bad karma in the future, but then we all should have sort of some of the bad karma.
Yes.
So we always want to purify the bad karma. I would say to avoid the condition to be happens that we should experience.
To purify the negative karma so we don't experience the suffering.
Yes.
Yes.
So some practice we would do like the 35 Buddhas and also the Vajrasattva's.
35 Buddha, Vajrasattva, yeah.
Yes. So any recommended practice, or what's the difference between these practices we are doing so we can better purify our bad karma, or anything we could think of can help?
Yes, you know, there is 35 Buddha and Vajrasattva, but if you send me $1 million, I can purify all your negative karma immediately. Only $1 million. I don't mean Hong Kong dollars. I mean US dollars. Possible? Meso has gone quiet. $1 million, not possible. But also, you know, Buddha himself said, I cannot wash away your negativities. If I could, I would. So, you know, if anybody promises you, oh, I'll do it for you, you know, I'll get rid of your negativity. Give me $1 million. I'll get rid of your negativities. It's not possible, because even Buddha said, I can't do it, because if I could do it, I would do it, in which case we'd all be Buddhas, because Buddha would have fixed the problem. So then we come back to the problem of it's an individual situation. Each one of us knows what we're dealing with in our heart, whether we're dealing with irritability, anger, hatred, whatever. So then we know from the past into the present, we've created this way of thinking, this way of behaving, this way of experiencing. And then we don't like it. You know, some of these negative emotions are destructive, and they're harmful and hurtful. So we don't like it. So then if you're a Dharma practitioner, then as quickly as possible, you want to remove it, because you don't want to experience the result. So that's why then Buddha gave 35 Buddha, because it's very easy. It's the purification happens because of the power of the object, the power of the name, the dedication that those bodhisattvas made to help you to purify. That's one thing. Vajrasattva is a different type of practice, again, based on a mantra, based on a meditation. But I think some people feel karmically connected to Vajrasattva, and some people don't. So I think it depends on your feeling of connection, but it's also usually people who have done some sort of tantric practices, high-level practices that use Vajrasattva as a purification. Then there's the purification of emptiness, of wisdom. And, you can read the Prajnaparamita Sutra. You can recite, the Heart Sutra. There are sutras that you can read that will also help you to purify. When you experience the negativity coming into your mind and you sit with it and you release it, you let it go, or you do Tonglen, you breathe in the negativity, you breathe out the happiness, that will also purify. So there's many methods of purification. I think it just depends on which one makes you feel, I don't like to use the word excited, but you feel connected with that method. You like that method and you want to do that method. It's no use telling you to do something and then you think, oh, I really don't want to do that. Each person's different. So in Tibetan Buddhism, we have so many different methods of purification. You find something that suits you, something that you enjoy, that makes you feel happy, and then you do it. It's like recently somebody wrote to me and she told me, I've been sick, I don't have any energy for Dharma practice. And I told her, read the Golden Light Sutra. And she said, oh no, I really don't want to read the Golden Light Sutra. And I said, okay, then don't read the Golden Light Sutra. So then she said she read it once and she felt so much better that she continued to read it. So sometimes we think, oh no, I don't want to do that. But then you try it and then you discover, oh, I really enjoy it. It really makes me feel better. It makes me feel happy. So yeah, there are many methods of purification, but it's finding the one that really connects with you and that you feel joyous, feel happy about doing, and then do it on a regular basis. So then it becomes a habit, so that when you're reborn in a future life, you have the feeling to avoid negativity and the feeling to purify anything negative and to accumulate merit and to do good things, to do positive things for the future. Does that answer?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Venerable. Thank you.
Okay, welcome. Okay, we'll dedicate. Thank you all very much for joining, and we will dedicate the merit to all sentient beings. Due to the merits of these virtuous actions, may I quickly attain the state of a Guru Buddha and lead all sentient beings without exception into that enlightened state. May the Supreme Jewel Bodhicitta that has not arisen arise and grow, and where it has risen, may it not diminish, but increase evermore. Just as the brave Manjushri and Samantabhadra too realize things as they are, also I dedicate all these merits in the best way, that I may follow their perfect example. I dedicate all these roots of virtue with the dedication praised as the best. Now move up, Lillian. By the victorious ones thus gone of the 3 times, so that I might perform the noble Bodhisattva's deeds. May all beings everywhere, plagued by sufferings of body and mind, obtain an ocean of happiness and joy by virtue of my merits. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled with a mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms and the deaf hear sounds. May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored on finding repose. May the naked find clothing, the hungry find food. May the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth, those weak with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvests. May all medicines be effective and wholesome prayers bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be free from their ailments. Whatever diseases there are in the world, may they never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid and those bound be freed. May the powerless find power and may people think of benefiting each other. For as long as space remains,
for as long as sentient beings remain. Until then, may I too remain to dispel the miseries of the world. May all interdependent beings with needs and desires the same, avoidance of suffering and achieving nirvana, attain the state of full enlightenment. May we abandon karma and delusion, leaving behind all sorrow and suffering. May our members and benefactors be successful in their activities to benefit sentient beings. May all supporters of VNOS be successful, free from illness, fear, and harm, be devoted and humble in our Dharma practice, united in love and compassion for each other. May the organization always be nurtured with generosity, respect, and joy, extending the Dharma to all who need it for the benefit of all sentient beings. I don't think so. Very long.
Wisdom, light of true compassion, source of Tara's love maternal, Lausanne's doctrine, perfect holder, we request
Wisdom,
your
light of
light
true compassion, source of terrors, love maternal, Lobson's doctrine, perfect holder, we request your life eternal. Teacher, Father, Mother, Guru, and treat you live forever, guiding all to liberation, perfecting our minds forever, with your always skillful guidance, and profound compassionate ways, shining parasites eternal, guiding to her Tathagata mind. Om Aguru Jadara Sumati Ujaya Sawasiti Om Dale Dukale Dule Guru Sumati Ujaya Ayurveda Janana Christine Guru Soha.
Thank you very much. Tomorrow at 9:30 my time, 9:30 a.m., we restart the meditations, the Vipassana, insight, tranquility meditations. So that's New Day, Monday and Friday. I decided to change it to Monday and Friday so that we start the week in the right way and we finish the week in the right way. Whether it works out that way, I'm not sure. At least I know Addie will be there because she's got nowhere else to be. She's in lockdown. She's trapped. If only we could have more students like that. Trapped. And also those sessions are recorded and they're on the website. So we're working through the text, which is the meditation text of how to develop your mind, how to develop your meditation, and seems to be going well. People seem to be getting some result from it, so that's good. So Monday and Friday. And then I'll see you in 2 weeks. And I hope that if you have COVID, that you're not suffering too much from it. And from what I hear, people do suffer. I had some sort of sickness for a week, and it wasn't very pleasant, but it wasn't too bad either. But I've heard some quite serious things from people about how it affects the body, it affects the mind. So be patient with yourself, be compassionate with yourself. And my only advice is eat as much Swiss chocolate as you can get. Bye. Bye.